we're doing very well with Hudson Valley One in that, we're keeping going, and there seems to be new readers, and there seems to be some people who will stay with us no matter what. We get compliments every day, we get insults every day. But I do think there needs to be a broader understanding of, the survival of newspapers and how it really does serve the community.
Hi, I'm Geddy Sveikauskas, as usual. I'm the publisher of Hudson Valley One, and I have my associate publisher here today, Genia Wickwire.
Hello.
We're going to talk about our business. This isn't just kind of navel-gazing, but it's more a sense we wanted to give people a sense of exactly or approximately what we do, how we're doing, how you can help if you want to, and really the importance of local news. I think we're 100% local news, and I yesterday got a copy of this magazine, the Washington Post magazine, which had data that I think has appeared elsewhere. Since 2005, about 2,200 local newspapers across America have closed. Here are some of the stories in danger of being lost, as told by local journalists. And there were maybe 15 or 20 stories about news deserts, places where there are no longer newspapers, and these really good in-depth stories about those communities by people who knew them well. And I was puzzled by this issue because, there are that many really interesting stories right a block from here, within a block of here, that everybody has an interesting story. And our job, I guess, is to tell the ones around here, but I think they're probably pretty universal. Yeah. Do you think that we will someday be a news desert around here?
It's hard to say. I mean, I don't know if they're including, this number may include us in
It does
some
include
ways.
us, in fact.
Because obviously we used to be 5 newspapers, including Almanac Weekly, and now we are 1 newspaper. And obviously our resources changed and our reach changed, by not having 4 news sections that had, between 24 and 40 pages a week. We are giving everybody about a quarter of what they had before. And, it's funny, I'm more in the office this past year than my father, so I took hundreds and hundreds of calls from people. And I think, it was very interesting, and it was lovely that people felt so adamant about their local newspaper, and that passion for it is not enough to keep the separate issues going. But there's a huge misunderstanding as to what it takes to run a newspaper and how expensive it really is, and it's a shame because I do think all of the news and the stories are important to tell, even just to get to know a different side of your community and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're doing very well with Hudson Valley One in that, we're keeping going, and there seems to be new readers, and there seems to be some people who will stay with us no matter what. We get compliments every day, we get insults every day. But I do think there needs to be a broader understanding of, the survival of newspapers and how it really does serve the community as much as shopping or eating or doing anything local, we are local and we need that same level of support.
Well, you and I remember well when the pandemic started, the first wave.
Yes.
We're now in the fourth wave, which seems to be not much fun either. Describe
going.
kind of what happened. We just, at one point, when the pandemic hit, people stopped advertising.
Yeah, it was so sudden.
It's like falling off a cliff.
Yeah, the day that it was announced that, everything was shutting down for 2 weeks, we just started to get hundreds of calls from all of our advertisers, and they were petrified. They were closing down their businesses, and some of them have been alive for as long as we have, and it was scary for them, and they could not put another dollar out. And so there's no convincing them that they should. And we just, like so many local businesses, we're a week-to-week business. Like we, if we don't get 1 week of advertising dollars, then we just don't have enough money to keep going. So it was very sudden. We closed. We went digital, I'll say. We never closed. We went digital for 3 months. At that time, we thought it might be 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, we had no idea, just like any other of the businesses. And then after 2 months, we said, we have to get going with something. And we were not willing to not write about the Hudson Valley and not write about local businesses and local people and local governments. We wanted to do it. And so we came back to print in June with Hudson Valley 1.
Yeah, so we were, I believe, 12 weeks that we were without
a print paper for the first time in, what was it, 46 years at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 46 years of a print paper every single week, and we went digital for 12 weeks.
And then after that 12 weeks, we started Hudson Valley 1, the print edition.
Yeah.
And so this was kind of, we had a financial problem in that none of the papers were paying their own way at the very end, and now we have one paper, and because we had the cash flow from the several papers that gave us a boost cash-wise, so we were able to survive.
Yeah, I don't think people realize what a labor of love a newspaper is. I think anyone who knows you knows that this is your passion, your lifelong passion. And so they understand that, but I don't think that they realize that, I mean, not to be blunt, but it was running in the red. Like, it was not a successful business. It was a labor of love, and in that it was successful.
Okay, so then we came back to the print edition, and we've been doing it for a year and a half, a year and 3 quarters now.
Yeah.
How are we doing?
We're doing well. We're holding our own. Again, labor of love. Our whole goal is to break even at the end of the year. It's never to have some huge profit to run away with. It's basically to just be able to pay our wonderful all local employees and to live to see another day. So we are doing that right now. And again, we have calls every week still saying we miss the Woodstock Times, we miss the New Paltz Times, and then we have other people calling saying we love your paper and we'll read it in whatever form it is. So we feel happy with that, and we hope that we can win some more people over. And, during the pandemic, right before the pandemic, we started to offer e-subscriptions, which was a new concept for us. So that's another way people obviously are moving towards reading that way. So we immediately got, 1,000 or 1,200 people to sign up that way. So that's also been great and very helpful.
So as time went on, we discovered that, we knew that print was being abandoned because people, not only because you couldn't get advertising, but because people didn't read anymore in that traditional form.
Yeah.
And that's a change, a transformation that we're still going through. That is, when you're used to thinking week-wise, we hope everything happens so we can get in the paper on Wednesday and Thursday, we now have to react daily to what's going on through the web. And when you're trained to do things one way, it's awfully hard to do it another way.
Yeah, I mean, now we really need to take advantage a little bit more of our website and get daily news up, as well as, having a great weekly paper. I think, we're good at the weekly paper thing. And just like I always compare it to the restaurants around here. They all had to get really good at to-go food. They don't have seating. I mean, Sissy's next door never reintroduced indoor seating because it's a small place. So they kind of had to reinvent themselves. And we're no different in that way, that we've had to reinvent ourselves after, a really long time.
I at first was reluctant to kind of abandon the focus on the print, and then I started a couple of weeks ago, as you know, doing little news briefs every day, doing one a day, and I found now that it's easier than I thought. At first it was hard, but I do it every day. It was like writing home every day. But I now enjoy it, and I think of it as part of my life. And I think the last couple of weeks we tried to get other people to think that way. Try it, give it a shot. And yet we did a story that I wrote on the ex-IBM plant and what's going on with that, the search for tenants, and I think our story had a lot in it that nobody else's story did. But on Tuesday night, the legislature met. The paper came out Wednesday. The Economic Development Alliance, God bless them, was the last step, and they went into executive session and argued for about an hour, and then they came back and we put it in, changed the copy to adapt to that they had done it, and put it out there as what had happened. The transfer had taken place. I got a tremendous kick out of that too.
Yeah.
So I guess every form we do has kind of high points that kind of you learn how to handle them. You learn how to deal with the strong points and weak points of it, like this podcast.
Right.
We want to, everything we do, we want to do better and better, and learn how to do it. Get enthusiasm for it, and I'm all in favor of that kind of change.
Yeah,
it's hard, but
and I think that's our vision for 2022 is to get better at the daily updates, the quick news, keep that side of it going, but also have even better, more in-depth pieces to really bring our longtime readers, our print readers in, and give them something a little more meaty to read, and then continue to get input from our community, and just keep going.
Well, this week, other people are kind of deciding what is going to be different in 2022.
Yeah.
And this next week's issue will be interviews with various political leaders as to what they're going to do, what they learned from this year and what they're going to do next year.
Right.
And I'm in favor of that, but I wouldn't like to see the kind of just simple meat and potatoes of a community, because that doesn't. Meetings are important, but they don't capture the spirit of a community or the kind of life crises that people go through all the time. There's the sense of what they appreciate and what they hate. I'd like.
We are always big on profiles, because you could see somebody on the street every day. I mean, here there's that whole repetition. It is small towns. And to get to know things about them that you never knew is always so interesting.
We have this coming week, or maybe a week after, this story on beekeeping in the city of Kingston.
Right.
And I was surprised. There are what is it? I think it's 600,000 bees on a little street off Albany Avenue.
Right.
And that's 20 bees per person of Kingston.
Right. So it's all the little unexpected nooks and crannies that people don't know, and suddenly you know it.
Yeah. And everything in life has its kind of unexpected or not entirely thought through knowledge. So with bees, it's their sense of hierarchy, which people pretty much know about, and the fact that it's a matriarchal society, basically built around the queen, and the worker bees are all female, and the male are drones. They just simply their job is to keep the species going. And they either get killed off or they are exiled from the hive.
It's almost like they know something we don't.
Yeah. It has both exciting positive and negative features that
like
but
every society,
like every society. I'm thinking of tonight I believe that Vladimir Putin is having his annual press conference, and it lasts for 4 or 5 hours generally, and he has all these journalists from the hinterlands of Siberia and other places come in and ask him questions, local questions, and it's a way of kind of getting away from the questions of national survival and resources and education. That it's usually about its small things. When are you going to fix the pothole in my village?
Right.
And Putin prides himself on knowing about such situations and just promising, I'll have it fixed by next Wednesday or something like that.
Right.
That's an entirely different social structure, isn't it?
It is, because, and to circle back to local newspapers, is we sometimes do report on the local potholes and stuff like that, and you really rely on your local government. And one of the things they're saying about the problem with news deserts is that people are withdrawing from involvement in local politics, which is a huge problem, because that's where potholes and stuff like that, problems like that, get solved. So when you lose your local newspaper, it's shown in many places that the local political involvement lessens, because again, when we're reporting on a local politician, you're not really going to get that information. You're not going to get it side by side. This is one person and this is their opponent, and kind of get that local information.
Right.
So, people withdraw from involvement in local politics.
So people are spending more time on social media, and the social media seem somehow to be controversial all the time. It's built on fake news,
right,
a lot of the time, and it's just kind of it encourages you to take sides rather than to see the other guy's point of view.
Yeah. And I think that's the advantage to local politicians. Like, we've had some people who are very, let's say, Republican or Democratic, but then they know the candidate and they know what they're about. So, locally, they will cross that line. And, so it's a whole different field. So if you're not learning about each candidate, you don't have that opportunity to really see what the difference that they can make.
Yeah. Well, there's not the same all confrontational politics, so that in local government, the Democrats always don't always vote one way and the Republicans the other way.
Right.
They kind of get together so that when this IBM deal passed, the legislature was unanimous that it was a good thing for the county.
Yeah.
And it would have been easy for the minority to say it's a stinking deal, only a jerk would do it, and replace that jerk with us.
Right.
And vice versa, another jerk.
Right. But you have to look at the people who vote, and everybody's been wondering now for how many years why isn't anything happening there? So now they can turn around and say they were a part of something actually finally happening at the IBM complex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, there's still a lot of local institutions that somehow manage to bridge the gap. So, for instance, you and I like Rough Draft, the bookstore.
Yes.
Why? People go in there, they all know each other, they drink coffee, they read books. It's, in its way, it's a painless intellectual center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cozy. Yeah.
Right.
And there's, obviously dozens, if not hundreds, of businesses that, we feel that way about. So, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And it's great to discover how, a person has a kind of a vision that nobody else has, and they follow that vision and they try to involve other people in it. That's something we can understand.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so how do we accomplish this task we've set out for ourselves of getting people to be aware on different levels? That is, to do local stuff, daily stuff, also to do long-form journalism where you really go into something deeply and people understand it in a more holistic way than they used to. I think inevitably you're sort of taking away from the middle, which is the meetings we talked about and the kind of institutions that don't reveal everything about life that the short and the long do.
Yeah, it's very hard when you're in our position of covering, so many communities with limited space. And you do end up having to make choices. And of course, that's when you definitely need outside support. You need community support in order to, try to fill all the holes.
Yeah.
So that, we basically internally, we have meetings, we discuss it, we find out what we think is the most important. And then, we always hope to get feedback from the community. And the more support we get, obviously, the more we bring to the community. So, hate to circle it back around to support. But I think that's inevitable in any small business. I mean, that's what you need.
Well, one of the changes in the business that people are learning is that people like us are learning is that you need more support in order to survive than you needed before in terms of memberships. And we've been encouraged to use the word membership instead of subscriptions. Why is that?
So that you feel a part of it, so that you know you're a part of it, that you're reading it counts for something. And right now, I've been getting lovely letters because we are asking for people to, if you already read our paper and love it, to gift it to somebody else, because that's the answer to a lot of, yes, donations are lovely and great, and we had a big donation drive when we first shut down, and that helped us immensely to be able to get going with Hudson Valley One in print. It was so nice to see how many people reached out to us, but also just giving a subscription and getting more people to read the paper. And I said to somebody who was upset that there weren't more letters to the editor, like, write the letter to the editor. Like, that's your job. Like, your job is to participate and to write letters. And not only that, but to get your friends to write letters. And again, give them a subscription and say, hey, now you can write your letter to the editor. You know what you're upset about. We don't even care if you're insulting us. Like, we print it. So, go for it. It's all about community. I hate to be so, so basic, but that's what it is. And that's what we hope we always are.
Right. And we my sort of motto is generally make things better in terms of what we do. And I kind of, I'm afraid I'm a little short-sighted on that. I just simply say anything that makes it better is good. So if it's a columnist who reaches people, that's good. If it's a reporter who does everything, which I claim is very hard to find, or just a kind of somebody who can contribute a slightly different voice and good information that people say, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's the goal. So for every step backward, you want to make at least 2 steps forward.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
All right. Nice talking to you. Thanks, folks, for listening. See you next time on Hudson Valley One podcast.